Welcome to our elections video. All right, so presidential elections nonetheless this year in the US, okay? I figured I'd give this scenario a different look, make it more elegant, okay? And a little cozier, such as, let's talk about elections. Tell me if you liked it. All right, so let's talk about elections. When we talk about elections, we have to start with the two main parties. Okay, we have two main parties, and that would be the Republicans and the Democrats. Okay, parties like party. No, not that kind. When you talk about a political party, you talk about a formal group of people that share the same views on political issues. All right, so political parties. Very well. So what do you have to do to vote in the US? First of all, you can't just go on November 3rd and say, right on, I'm here to vote, okay? You have to register before. Most people do what? If there's an election year when they're turning 18, you have to be 18 in order to vote, then they would already register, and then you don't need to register again. Unless you move, you change states, and you need to then make this adjustment. But other than that, you register once, okay? Very well. So, you register to vote, and then you have to choose your candidate, okay? Candidate or candidate. Very well, two pronunciations, yes? Candidate and candidate, all right? Now, this year, we have the incumbent, Donald Trump, going against Joe Biden, who is the challenger, okay? So the incumbent is the one that currently holds the office of president, in this case, Donald Trump. And the challenger is Joe Biden, okay? He is the one that is fighting, is running for the position of presidency. Okay, so you run for presidency. Okay, now we talked about the incumbent, the challenger. They are both running for presidency. All right, so far so good. Very well. The second thing that I wanted to talk to you about is, for example, before the elections, which would be this time now, what happens? Well, the campaign happens, yes? The campaign, and we look at the campaign trail. Okay, now the trail would be the journey, let's say, the time before the elections, where the incumbent and the challenger actually try to make their views wider, to make their views known, okay, to the voters. They travel to different states, okay? They do all this campaigning. What happens is also debates, okay, in which you have a moderator, okay, much needed, because they're there to control the time, to make sure that things stay as, you know, civilized as possible, okay? All right, now, also before the elections, what happens are a lot of polls are being done, okay? A poll is when people ask ahead of time, let's say, oh, who are you going to vote for? And then they try to keep track of that and see who is the front runner of the race, okay? Who is the front runner? This is not 100% reliable, okay? Because in a few election years, like with Hillary Clinton, for example, she was shown as the front runner for quite a while, and yet she did not become president, okay? All right, now we talked about the front runner and about the polls, okay? Hold on. One vocabulary term that I thought was pretty cool, and probably a lot of you won't know, is, let's say there are the debates and someone that had a particular view on something changes that. Then they say he's a flip-flopper, okay? Not the shoe, but that he flipped sides. This is usually seen as a negative thing, okay? Even though you say, but why? Can't people change their minds? Of course they can. But depending on the situation, it might seem that one or the flip were not sincere, okay? Or unless they are very well justified. Okay, so now let's say the preparation part we talked about, and then we talk about the actual elections. So what are you gonna do? You're going to cast your ballot or vote. Voting or casting your ballot. This means what? You actually go to the voting booth, okay? This usually happens in a polling station, and this is usually a school in your neighborhood, okay? So you have to go, you vote, and then there's an exit poll being done as well. So when you finish voting, you come out. Usually there's someone there to also try to count as people come out how they voted, okay? To see if they can get an understanding of what's going on, okay, ahead of time or as it's happening, okay? Okay, so at these exit polls, you actually see two things, okay? You're trying to see how people are voting and who they're voting for as it's happening. And there's another thing. All the people that could vote, that's called the electorate, okay? So those are the people that are eligible to vote. But that doesn't mean that they all will, okay? So those who do, that's called a turnout, okay? So at these exit polls, you can also keep track of the turnout. And then, of course, at the end of the elections, there will be a number for the turnout, okay? All right, now, there's something called an absentee ballot, okay? An absentee ballot is something that you used to have to send in the mail because, let's say, I knew I couldn't vote or I had something that would prevent me from voting. I would have to get this absentee ballot and mail it in ahead of time. Now this year with the coronavirus, you're actually able to do this, to vote, even though theoretically you could go in person, okay? So I'm sure some people took advantage and used this, okay, the absentee ballot. Okay, so on November 3rd, what actually happens are the general elections, okay, the elections for president. Before that, there are the primary elections, okay? This is what? This is the party determining who will be their candidate, okay? Now, with this, in some states, there's something called a caucus, okay? A caucus is where you go to a big room, let's say a big Republican caucus. They're all in there and they will stand by their candidate, okay? They will actually divide the room, okay? And show who should run representing that party, okay? All right. And then that would be their nominee, okay? So their nominee, the nominee was Joe Biden, and you have the incumbent Donald Trump, okay? Okay, now, what also happens is that when you choose this, they also choose running mates, okay? Who would be the vice president? And this is what comes on a ticket, okay? You don't vote, I can't vote for Donald Trump and a different vice president, okay? It's the one that is on the ticket with him, all right? Okay, cool. So far, so good, right? The cool or tricky or interesting part or something about American elections is the Electoral College, okay? The Electoral College, no, it's not a college. This is actually a group of people, okay, who are determined by the population and who are supposed to represent them in the elections, okay? So, currently, there's a total of 538 members, one for each senator and representative, and there's 3 for District of Columbia. Okay, so this is how they got to this number. All right, and for example, a certain state, depending on its population, will have a number of votes. As an example, Florida, with a population of 2.48 million people, okay, it has 29 votes, whereas Idaho, for example, has 4 votes, okay? Now, there are only 2 states that actually split their votes. This is Maine and Nebraska, okay? So these examples I've been giving you, for example, Florida, 29 votes, okay? Or Idaho, 4 votes. This is important how? There's a thing called winner takes all, okay? So for example, if I have a state that has 10 million people, okay, and 5,000,001 will vote Democrat, and the rest, like 4,099,999, will vote Republican, then the winner takes all the votes, okay? So would take all 29 in Florida, okay? There are only 2 states that split their votes, like Maine and Nebraska. And some states are always safer for some party, okay? Like, it's very common to think that, you know, the Democrats will take California, okay? So, where does the fight really happen then? It happens in what we call battleground or swing states, okay? So these are very important. This is where the candidates know, and they will go and try to see if they can steer these states in their directions, okay? Because these are, let's say, up for grabs. These are votes that could go either way, all right? Okay, so what happens then? Let's say the elections happen and all that, and then when you can see rather clearly who the winner is going to be, the loser will actually concede, and he will give a concession speech, okay? He will give a speech in which he will congratulate the new president and thank everyone for their support and throughout the elections, all right? So I hope I helped with some of the vocabulary, okay? I learned a lot of things with this one too, because some I hadn't used so much, okay? Some of the terms, some of the vocabulary. So it was a tricky video to let's say, you know, make just out of the blue, okay? I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think, okay? And for my friends in Brazil, I'm going to do something on the elections happening in Brazil as well. Yet, I'm gonna need your support. I need to learn about it a little bit first, and just for everyone else to know, it's not presidential elections that are happening in Brazil this year, okay? Very well. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to do all those things that people need to do on the internet. Like, subscribe, comment. Comment, people. Say something, okay? Thank you very much. See you next time.